tweaked a few things. Like I wanted Marquette going further, and because I wanted to root for him. And what I got out of that was the Furman.
Oh shit! Really?
Wow.
So yeah. So I am currently in 4th place with the most points available to me, and I'm like in the 90th percentile of the nation.
Nice.
I mean,
Brackets.
Kentucky's got a better chance of winning after the last couple days.
What I need to happen in order to win my bracket is I need Creighton to win today. If Creighton wins today, I will probably win my company's pool.
Awesome.
Because the person that's above me's bracket looks exactly like mine, and she's got 1,700 points available to me. I got 1,740, and the difference in our brackets is Creighton.
Interesting.
That and I had teams like some of these big teams that went out. I didn't take them all the way to the Final Four. Like I don't think I have Arizona and Purdue in my Final Four. So them falling out is, in fact, I had Arizona going out relatively early, and that's why I think I'm still.
All right. Hey Rick, do you follow the channel at all? Our channel? This channel?
Nope, I had not.
Okay. If you do, I can make you a moderator. And then that'll also get us to 69 total followers. So that's my ultimate goal.
Nice.
On Twitch. He's
On
referring
Twitch.
to. Yeah.
Okay.
How great would it be?
Yeah, we are trying to find the
we
payoff.
had the 5th nerd to the podcast, and it's to get to 69 followers. I want to make this full screen now.
I don't know. Kaim, are you following the channel? That'll put us over 69.
Uh-oh. See rules, bonuses.
There we go. That's what I like to see. Sorry, I'm talking to chat. In case you weren't aware.
Talk away. I don't talk to chat. I actually had discussion with people that you can't talk to the chat because I end up messing shit up. I can't have the chat up especially when I'm DMing, because there's already enough to worry about, and then
I don't know what you're talking about. It's easy, John. It's easy.
you're just Superman.
Says
There
the
you
guy
go.
that barely gets audio right, much less 4 people on stream. And
But he can describe a centaur cock real well.
yeah, he can.
Cause reaction economy.
Oh, I should have known you were Goonies. Isn't that your name on many things?
My
Or was
email.
it? Yeah, that's it.
And it follows everything around. It's been there since school.
Forever.
Ever.
Hey. So much so, when he DM'd for the first time, his first adventure was based on the movie Goonies. And was fucking amazing.
You didn't like
No,
going
I
down the
loved
slide,
it.
finding the pirate ship and escaping it?
I
It was kinda
loved
fun.
it. I loved it. Flip had so much fun. Grabbing coins he shouldn't have been grabbing and disappearing from the party and
We had the boss fight was, I think, 3 goblins representing the Fratellis and an ogre for sloth.
All right, I need to
Really
get coffee.
freaking cool.
Oh, this is scary.
Oh, yeah. Death and dying is weird.
It's kind of like the mechanic Dave was throwing out there in our campaign where you get penalized for bouncing up and down.
Yeah. It makes sense when you start actually doing it. Because, like, when you go down, you're dying 1. And when you get saved or healed at that point and come back up, you're now wounded 1. And if you go to 0 hit points while you're wounded 1, you become dying 2. And then, so you have these conditions that apply.
Because you come back up, just because you come back up doesn't completely erase the fact that you were down.
Yeah.
That those wounds stay with you.
And then if you ever end up, dying 4, you're dead.
I think dying 4 is dead.
Yeah. So they're just and each one of those conditions adds more crap to what you can and can't do.
Wounded doesn't just automatically fall off either. I mean, you could heal
No.
yourself up to full hit points, and in
There's
the next combat go down again, and wounded still it's there.
Yep. And there's a feat called Treat Wounds, which allows you to remove those and also heals. So it is, the feats are actually really kind of the neat. What I always really kind of liked about Pathfinder is that it really felt like you were building out a character, like it felt like a skill tree in Diablo, as opposed to just getting stuff for your initial first choice. Ryan, you've been mighty quiet this morning.
All week on chat too, even. I have no idea what you're even thinking for character.
Well, I'm busy at work and I have no idea where to start with Pathfinder. So
Well,
I don't know how I can contribute yet. So find out, I guess.
Just be you, Ryan.
Well, he is doing what he should be doing right now, listening and observing and trying to glean points off of anything. I am intentionally keeping us in the core rulebook, Ryan, for your sake, because this can spin wildly out of control with options. There are already many options. It's the same basic classes from D&D 5. Well, you know, this is all probably discussion
I have a character, but I'm gonna wait until I hear the conversation to see what we're playing with, what we're not playing with, what ancestries we're playing with, what I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I gotta ride it out, and we'll pick it when it's time.
That's
Cool.
where I'm
Yeah,
at,
I mean,
Cooch.
I'm sticking with the plan that I had, but there's a lot of little stuff, like, you know, as far as like the what is it? The heritage.
Yeah, your heritage.
Like I'm gonna kind of base it on what makes sense. You know, if we live in the mountains or something, I go with the cold. You know, if I spend too much time with someone who's throwing fire bombs, I maybe go with the fire. Otherwise, there's other options. So I kind of want to know how things are going to build that backstory with the pieces of it. But
It's all really high level shit on this list. Other than this, which I have there. I think I can put this list away because that will be stuff we learn as we play.
also, John really wants us to have rhyming, very sound-alike
No,
names, so that it's
no.
fun.
Eris, Varus, and Jairus. 2 of the 3 of you are here, motherfucker. No.
And none of them knew each other selecting names before
Yeah.
they
Came into the
selected their
campaign
name.
at different times.
Well, I asked
Yeah.
Ryan how to say his name, and he said, "Sure, that works." And I went, "All right." I wish I would have said something different.
No,
I don't know how else we would have done it.
Yeah, because they were
I
all spelled a little differently
Sure.
too.
Jerice.
J-Rice.
Well, I'm gonna refresh my coffee quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah,
All
go take a shit if you need to shit. Go pee if you need to pee. The show's starting in a couple minutes. Now that John's riding the DM chair again, I can probably start us right now.
So are we doing?
I mean, that feels right.
Are we sticking to the common ancestries, or are we?
Yeah. If you're looking like in the archives of Nethys, the common ones are the ones from the players, essentially the player's handbook. So those are the ones that we're sticking with.
Yep, the basic,
Okay.
the basic core rule book.
So there's like 6, but then if you look at human, you can actually get half elf and half orc out of them.
I was just in love with the Kitsune, so
Well, you can always beg the DM, and if you've got a
Next
good flavor reason. Yeah, I was looking at the cat folk, but not this time. Maybe we'll do a one-shot where we get to do those.
That's not gonna work.
Note to self: I can't move quickly with this big ass blue coffee mug. It's more like a bowl, and like any bowl, it slops.
Are you sure
really
that's not a
easily.
soup cup?
Josh, it's my coffee cup. Yes, it's a handled super bowl, but I use it for coffee.
Hey man, you do you. FYI,
My
Rick,
dryer's done.
if we're playing and you have chat pulled up, if you type !S and then a space, you can put in like a title.
A show title. If
Show
someone
title.
says something dumb or funny, or
Yeah. So if somebody
appropriate
says
for a show title.
if somebody says pooptacular, you can put !S space pooptacular, and that'll submit it as a show title. Just like that. Yep.
I will-
Pooptacular is now a show title.
I will usually say someone's show title that because I don't have the chat up. Or I will say that would make a great show title.
And then there's a link I just put in chat where you can go and vote on them.
Oh,
I'm gonna do that at the end. Yeah, I just wanted to see what it looked like right when you were saying this is how it works. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna do it.
Nope, I want.
this is how we do it.
Oh crap! What is the frickin'?
what is the frickin' frequency, Kenneth? I'll be right back.
Wow,
It's your Benz and Green.
I would not have been able to take it there. That was amazing.
All right, I can't think of it.
Keep disappearing for half seconds.
So, anybody that's in chat, !S, put a space, and then put in whatever phrase or title you want. That's how you do it. I can't think of the command right now to put those instructions in. I should probably write that down.
What the hell book is that one? Well, it's got to be in here then.
Is it vote?
Huh, it works.
Huh. Look at that.
Oh man, he's gonna furt it right now,
And
isn't
just like that,
Bert?
they were gone.
he? Ah, he furted.
Bert. What the hell?
All right, I'm turning this on, and then John can just deal with it when he gets back. You nerds ready? Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Two Nerds, One Quest. I am your host, Norm. And this is going to be funny because John's going to be surprised. The guy
You gonna
to
point
my
at me?
The guy to my immediate right is Mr. DMJC. He is going to be running this. The man directly below me on your screen is Genius. The man directly below him is Cooch. The man directly below him is the new man on the totem pole. Actually, in this totem pole, he's the low man.
Low
Rick.
man on the totem pole.
How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Good.
I was going to make a Gremlins joke about don't put water on the nerds, they multiply, and something about, well, I think we're fine as long as we don't feed them after midnight.
All of those
This point?
rules are out the window.
Oh, hell.
Somebody watered Genius or fed Cooch after midnight because we pooped out another player. You will notice that this is a little bit of a different setup. We have 5 players now. We have a map background. We have a new actual quest that is going on. And by quest, I mean we scrapped D&D for the time being, and we are jumping tits first into Pathfinder. So, with that being said, John will be leading us through this. John will be the DM again. John will be the guru. I don't know. Rick is pretty. It seems like he's well versed in Pathfinder. Well, well versed meaning probably better than us.
He's the only other one with Pathfinder 1E experience besides me.
Been a hot minute.
Oh yeah. A hot minute is right. Like.
So the plan for today is to go through rules, regulations, kind of discuss things, maybe possibly start character creation. Next week we'll continue or start character creation, and then depending upon how that goes, the week after will be, assuming everybody is good and ready, will be the beginning adventure question mark.
Can we say adventure time? Is that copyrighted?
Might be Easter. I don't know which weekend Easter falls in there. I don't know if we have 3 weeks or 2 weeks till then.
Oh.
I don't have a good answer to that. That would involve me recognizing
And
a calendar.
as we all know, math is hard.
Oh, of course. Of course. That's like my
Easter's the
anthem for this
9th,
trip.
so
Easter's the 9th, so we have this week and next week. And then it's Easter.
No, there's one more in there.
Is there one more?
This week, next week,
Say the
following
19th,
week.
Yes.
next
the
week.
26th, the 2nd, the
And
9th.
the 2nd.
So we do have 3 weeks.
We do.
Cool.
So we can discuss how we want to do things. We can discuss this off stream, but we can do rules today, character creation next week, and then either start or do more rules talk if we want to.
We may talk about character. Maybe we just talk a little bit at the end of the show about character creation without actually creating anything,
I think
and then we'll create next time. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
I would love to get a little bit of character creation in, at least talk about the basics.
Okay.
You know,
Well,
maybe not going into all the feats and stuff, but we'll see how far we get.
Let's start with the easy thing. Let's start with the similarities between 5e and Pathfinder, which there are several. I mean, one was spawned from the other. Actually, let's go to the backstory. Let's back this way up to a glorious time when the 3rd edition of D&D came out. There was a 3.5 edition then, and WotC decided they wanted to go to 4e. When they went to 4e, they changed the system so drastically that this little company called Paizo decided they wanted to keep the same rules and just kind of tweak them for their own good using the open license. And they did, and they created Pathfinder. And it became wildly successful because 4e bombed with a lot of the tabletop audience. So welcome Paizo into the world. You know, the primary competitor to 4e was Pathfinder. 5e comes out then and kind of corrects a lot of the flaws, introduces a whole new group of people to it, simplifies the system, and Pathfinder starts thinking about doing, well, at that point they had been thinking about doing a 2nd edition already. And they come out with the 2nd edition, completely remove any keyword, anything that could be possibly tied to WotC from their system. They wrote this system to be their own, the 2nd edition. Tweaked a few things, made a few things a bit simpler because their first game was incredibly crunchy, even more so than this one, which is hard to believe. And so now we have Pathfinder 2e going up against 5e, and well, Hasbro seems to be doing what they were doing before, trying to go for the money instead of worrying about the players, and the cycle is repeating, and we're getting several more of these in. The problem is there's way more competition out there now. We're going to get about 3 or 4 different more systems out there, and new licensing that won't be able to be revoked to take this stuff away from us as a community, which is a win for us as the players. So Ultimately, I'd like to say thank you, Hasbro, for being greedy mofos. Although it pisses me off what you did. So, similarities between Pathfinder 2E and D&D. Fantasy. It's elves, it's dwarves, it's dragons, it's all that good stuff, etc. It's still 6 core ability stats, all the same. It's still a D20 roll with modifiers added to it versus a DC. It's still played on 5-foot grids. It's the same dice you use. I'm trying to think if there's... I'm just listing general similarities. There's nothing else I can come up with off the top of my head. The differences are in the system itself. There's more. There's a lot more. I was talking pre-show about a long jump and high jump rules. There are rules for each of those, as opposed to D&D 5e has like you just make an athletics check. There's also less. There's no advantage. Advantage does not exist in the game. Something that is not there. And a big factor and a key factor, and something that a lot of people keyed in on this, everything is free. All the rules for the game, the entire game system rules are free on a website called Archives of Nethys. And Paizo actually endorses this site and wants players to use this. They just want people to play their game. And they trust that their content is compelling enough that people will throw money at them if they're enjoying themselves. And they do. And when Hasbro does something like what they did, they do it in droves and drive them out of their stock and force reprintings of certain things, which the core rulebook has been difficult to get a hold of recently. So when we're talking about rolls, when you're rolling your dice and you're rolling your bonus, you get bonuses to your roll. There are 3 types of bonuses. You get circumstance bonuses, status bonuses, and item bonuses. And you can only have one of each. So you can apply one circumstance bonus, because if you had 2 different circumstance bonuses, they don't stack.
Is that literally what it sounds like? Circumstances, like you get a bonus if you're like behind somebody. Like you get a bonus if you're at like you have the higher ground, Anakin.
Yes, or you're behind cover, or you've raised your shield,
Mm-hmm.
or the whatever the circumstance is adds a bonus to the situation.
I think one of the most common ones you're going to see in most games is flat-footed.
Flat-footed and raising over the shield, because you don't automatically get your shield added to your AC. You have to spend an action to raise your shield. We'll get into that later.
That probably would have done Crixus in if we had started playing with that way. With us not knowing, Crixus would have been like, I have a shield. It's just kind of here.
I have a shield. Why do I keep getting hit in the balls?
Yeah. Your shield is covering your feet, Cooch. Lift it up.
Yeah. Your shield, you keep getting hit in the balls, you get your shield too high.
Also accurate.
Status bonuses. They come from abilities or spells, or conditions. You'll have conditions. A lot of this stuff you'll see in like the vision systems or perception system, I should say. There are 4 different states of perception, and depending on what state it is in, there is bonuses for it. What are you laughing at, Norm?
I'm laughing at Cooch's title he just put in. I have a shield. Why do I keep getting hit in the balls?
Fair.
Where JC, where you say there's just more. Just looking at the Wanderer's guide that we were using for character creation, there are 35 different conditions in the game.
Yes.
That can be applied to creatures, characters, whatever. Like there's just more of everything.
35 different conditions. There are 40 or so backgrounds, which is part of your character creation. So, and also at level 1, there are more choices to make that actually directly affect your character. We'll get into all that. That's really kind of interesting. It's a video I saw recently, and I wanted to bring this up on the stream. I brought it up pre-show. Someone described it as building a character in Pathfinder 2e is like putting together a Lego set. You are literally taking this piece, and I'm going to put this piece in, and I'm going to put this piece in, and I'm going to put this piece in. And those are going to be my stats then.
I like Legos.
Yeah. The last, so yeah, status bonuses. The last is item bonuses. So you got a +1 sword. You get +1 to your attack and damage like you do in D&D. But if you have a +1 sword, you get a +1 to your attack, and you have a ring that gives you a +1 to your attack. You only get +1 to your attack. Those two don't stack. So it's an interesting thing to consider when you are carrying what magical items you want to carry around to get bonuses in certain situations. And these +1s are all very important because of another big difference between 5e and Pathfinder 2e is their critical system. A nat 20 is not a critical hit, and a nat 1 is not a critical fail. They do have something they do, but they don't automatically crit hit and crit fail. The critical system in Pathfinder 2e is based on 10. You will know your DC before you roll the die, and if you are 10 over it or 10 below it, 10 over it's a critical hit, success, critical success. 10 below it or more is a critical failure. Then, if you did roll a 20 or a 1, you would move it up 1 or down 1 on the scale. And that scale is critical success, success, failure, critical failure. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of looking at Ryan here.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't most of the DC you have to beat be 12? So wouldn't it be almost impossible to get a critical most circumstances?
That's the next thing is the numbers within Pathfinder. We're going to where your normal rolls you're used to seeing are in D&D. Like we all get amazed when like the rogue rolls a 38 on a stealth check with all the bonuses and everything. 38s are normal. Like rolls up into like anywhere between 1 and 50 is the scale of where rolls tend to happen within Pathfinder 2e.
But John, how would I do that with a D20?
Love you, Ryan. You still only roll a d20, but the bonuses that you get, your proficiency bonus on your skills, those proficiency bonuses can get way off the top. Instead of having a singular proficiency bonus in 5e, each skill has its own proficiency bonus. And like anything you could have proficiency in has its own proficiency bonus. And there are 4 levels of proficiency. I wrote this down earlier. Here, there. Rick set them out for me and I wrote them down. It's trained is the first level, expert, master, and legendary. And that's a 2, 4, 6, and 8 point bonus. Now
John,
that's only part of your proficiency bonus. What?
You totally missed an opportunity. Mastery and then legend. Wait for it. Dairy.
I did. I did. Oh, I'm rusty. I am rusty. Then I haven't seen How I Met Your Mother in a few years. So
I'm on my
I mean, of course, I've
viewing.
met your mother in the last few moments.
Hey, sip that coffee. Victory sip.
Yeah. I'm talking a lot. I'm thankful for interruptions here. If you guys want to interrupt me at any point, please do.
I'll throw something out there for as you're going through these, John. You talked about the +10, -10.
Yes.
Critical. In Pathfinder, unlike 5e, critical hits are not just double damage, and critical failures are actually written into the rules, where 5e, critical failures were things some DMs would homebrew or house rule, and if you rolled a 1, something bad would happen to you. In Pathfinder, that's actually written in the rules. As an example, if you use the trip action, any character can attempt to trip. It's based on your athletics check. You do an athletics check against the reflex save of the opposing character. If you critically fail that, you miss their DC by more than 10, you trip over your own feet and you yourself wind up prone. That's the rule. So you really got to be careful about attempting things that you're not good at, because it can adversely affect you as well. Also, with critical hits, you double damage, but then like weapons have what's called critical specialization effects, and I think you have to, I don't know if you have to feed or you have to be trained to a certain level to activate those, but just looking at a basic dagger, if you critical hit with a dagger, it takes double damage, but it also takes 1d6 persistent bleed damage on top of the double damage. So each weapon has its own kind of specialization effect to it. So you get the double damage and you get an additional effect to it. Same with when you trip or when you demoralize or you do all these actions. When you critically succeed, there's a benefit to damage, but there's also usually some sort of extra added benefit to it as well.
So it's critically important that I'm proficient in the crotch chop, otherwise really bad things could happen.
Yes, exactly.
Like you try to go for the crouch chop kook and you hit yourself in the nuts.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now you're
I start
flat-footed.
to vomit, and I'm prone because I slipped on my own vomit. I'm sure that's in the rules.
Oh, fuck.
There is a specific crotch chop section that I did read over, and I'd be more than happy to discuss that with you at a future date and time.
I forgot.
I can't wait for that conversation.
Jeff, I forgot. I just outnumbered us on the wrestling front by getting Rick in here. He was all into the wrestling stuff back then.
Great.
Like you and I are like the old school wrestling guys, but these three were all in that like attitude era stuff.
Era. Well, as far as I went attitude era and off.
So yeah, your skills. You get your trained, expert, mastery, or legendary training in them. You get your modifier for your skill. But also, did I read that right? Your proficiency includes your level?
Correct. Yeah, I read that.
So your current level plus your training level. So if you are an expert in something, you get a +4. If you're a level 10 monk and you have a +4 for being an expert, that's a 14 plus your dexterity modifier at that point is probably a +3. You have a +17 to your roll for a acrobatics roll. So that's how we're going to get up somewhere near 50. If you roll a nat 20, that's a 37. Okay, so that's a 37. You needed to hit a 40. Okay? So you failed. Your roll didn't hit, you failed, but you rolled a nat 20, so it moves it up one, so it became a success. Ta-da!
Interesting.
Yeah. So let's just say, for example, you were level 20 and had a skill maxed out. Well, I'm going to say maxed out at 20 because I know that Pathfinder can go higher than that. But say your dex is 20. So you're level 20, you get a +20 bonus if you're if you're legendary. Well, you get 8.
You get 28.
For being you get 8 for being legendary. So and then if you roll a 20, and then plus the 5 for the skill itself, you're over 50 at that point.
Yeah.
And that's assuming that you're not going past 20 with your basic ability score.
Yeah.
I
So
might try to do that. Whatever.
That's level 20. For this first one, in a one shot, you're not going to see that. But
no, but you will have interesting thing in character creation. You can start a character with an 18 in any of your given stats. It's possible to get there. Very possible, and very likely you will have an 18 in at least one of your stats. As proficiency, that carries over to weapons too. Like you'll have trained and expert and master and legendary weapon proficiencies as well. So like when you're swinging with your axe, you're bonus for swinging with it will be nice and toasty if you're good with it. Another big difference between the two of them, and probably the biggest one, kind of what a lot of people consider the crown jewel of the system, is the 3 action economy in combat. In D&D 5e, we know we had our move action, our bonus action, and our reaction. And you had to know what all those were. And trying to explain that to someone new, it's like, nah, it's hard to do.
And you can't use a bonus action as an action and vice versa. And
exactly, and you have this.
You can't hold a bonus action. You can only hold an action.
That's a whole nother thing too. Holding and delaying. There are 2 different things you can do in Pathfinder 2e, but we'll get onto that conversation later. In Pathfinder, you have 3 actions and a reaction on your turn. The round structure is the same. Getting into initiative's a bit different, and we'll discuss that at some point. But you have 3 actions, and whatever you do on your turn, like Rick said earlier, a lot of the spells take 2 actions to use. But there's a whole list of actions you can do. The common ones are striding, which is your movement. You get to move your speed when you stride. Striking is your attack. But there are also things like hide.
Lifting your shield was an action.
Yes, lifting your shield, dropping prone, interacting, leaping, seeking, standing.
Trip. Jump.
Stepping, which is moving 5 feet without triggering reactions. Yeah, those are the big ones. Those are the ones.
There's a fairly neat one you can do that's just called demoralize, and anybody can do this. You can basically just shout at the opposing enemy and give them a -1 if you succeed on the roll. You just you basically just yell at them and tell them how horrible they are, and they get demoralized and get a -1 circumstance bonus.
And then there's just like pulling it out and watching their face fall, like
basically, Goog.
You actually
that's what I'm up against. Oh boy.
Point of order is you actually have to shout. And there's a feat that you can take that you can just stare at someone and get that same effect without saying anything.
Because if you have to shout, they have to understand the language that you're talking to get the circumstance bonus. But if you take the feat, then all they have to do is be able to see you.
Yeah.
And you can get that same bonus. But that's a way to use a 3rd action. If you've used your 2 actions, for example, to cast a spell or something, you're sitting with a 3rd action, you're like, well, I don't want to move and I don't want to do this. But something like demoralize is just a way to benefit your party with an action that you didn't really have a use for otherwise.
Yeah. So if there will be moments where you go, well, I still have an action left. What can I use? Well, I mean, worst case scenario, demoralize.
What if I wanted to attack twice on my turn?
If you wanted to attack twice on your turn, Jeff, well, here's how you do it. Your first attack is an attack. Your second attack on any given turn has a penalty of -5. That's a circumstance penalty. And then your third attack, should you happen to want to attack a 3rd time, is a -10. Now, there are feats that can change that to -4 and -8, and I think they can even go lower, one step lower. But I don't know exactly where that is. But those...
And again, remember the rules of critical here. You miss by 10, you critically fail. Something bad's going to happen to you.
So
and you're swinging and a 3rd attack at -10.
Yeah, critically failing can hurt.
That'd be the best option, to swing 3 times.
Yeah, so as an example then, I've got a character sheet open, just a generic character, and with the normal attack bonus being +7, and the first attack gets the +7. The second attack still gets a +2, but the 3rd attack is at -3.
Yes.
So you can see that drops pretty quickly.
It's just, and it's not just attacks, and this is or striking, I should say, the striking action.
Right, yeah.
Striking.
There are other actions that are considered attack actions. I think trip may be one of them. I'd have to check, but like trip might, if you do something that is considered an attack action, it has the attack flag on it. That counts towards the multiple attack penalty. So even though you may not be striking, you may be adding to that multiple attack penalty, and then when you do strike, you're at -5 already, or -10. So you got to look at your actions and make sure if they have that attack flag on them, they're going to start adding up to that multiple attack penalty on you.
And does that work in reverse then? Does the trip, if you attack first and then trip, does that also get then the -5 penalty?
Would, if it's an attack. I can look real quick.
Yeah, it is. It is. I looked at it.
So,
you have it.
John, what you're saying
trip
with the
is
-4, -8, Kaim in the chat says attacks with agile weapons are -4, -8. So it depends upon your weapon type as well.
Yeah. So that's if you have agile weapons, that's like using agile weapons in 5e in your offhand. You don't experience the same penalties.
Which makes sense, because if you're using something that is agile, that would help you in your dexterity and your wielding of that weapon. So the one thing I know you kind of brushed over with the movement, John, was your striding and your what was it? Stride and step. The stepping is very important when you're surrounded. I'm guessing because you touched over that it keeps people from reacting, so you don't get that reactionary strike.
Yep.
So that's really cool.
We should touch on that one.
Let me jump in there real quick. In Pathfinder, every creature does not automatically get attacks of opportunity. That is not a thing. It is a feat. You have to take it. So that really opens up the battlefield. You can move around freely, much more in Pathfinder. You don't feel like once you're engaged with an enemy, you're kind of locked on the battle map. We've all done it in 5e where you've walked up to an enemy and you start swinging and you're just, okay, I swing, okay, they swing. And neither one of you wants to move because you're going to get bashed with a reaction. It doesn't happen in 5e as much. There are actually very few. There's only one class that actually gets attack of opportunity automatically, and everybody else has to take it as a feat if they want it. The enemies are the same way.
Yeah, the enemies have reactions. I wanted to get into something really quick because Rick mentioned it, and he said flagged. I think the actual keyword for it is tagged. I think it's tagged. Everything has tags. Like, I'm struggling to think of an example now. Other
like concentrate.
Yep. Concentrate. It's like your tags on your creatures too, like humanoid or what is it? There's a very specific example.
Move is a tag.
There's a very specific example I'm trying to think of that came up in a video as I was researching this, and that's not coming to me right now.
I'm just skimming so you can lie, and lying is tagged as deception, auditory, concentrate, linguistic, mental, and secret. Yes. And there's a lot of things on some of them, and other ones are just like move, or they tie in with the skill score, like athletics or something.
I just wanted to highlight those because I know at times we will be reading rules, and it's going to mention those. It's like playing Magic. It's why we understand the rules of this game on a level that some of the people we play with are kind of like, huh? It's reading very specifically, and that's the great thing about that's always been with Jeff, having Jeff around for this, is he's really good at this. Rick is also very good at this. So, and Ryan is as well, because, I mean, Tom's a bit lost. Tom's still learning.
Tom, I would like to go through a window.
Hey,
so the window was tagged with closed.
That is a permissible action. I just happened to fail on my roll. You leave me alone.
You can try. Matt Mercer's, you can certainly try.
So does Pathfinder, in relation to Magic, does Pathfinder have flavor text then with all of its tags?
We are the flavor text.
No, there is a flavor to Pathfinder that is, like, honestly, for me, coming back to this world in Galarian and Pathfinder's creation for stuff. First of all, Pathfinder's goblins are 100% better than WotC's goblins. In my opinion, Pathfinder has the best flipping goblins anywhere. And at some point, I will put the Weeby Goblins adventure. In fact, that will probably be the second someone's missing, we will do Weeby Goblins, which were the Pathfinder 1E free RPG day adventures. I have those in the can. I'll just port them to 2E and we will play through those because they are freaking hilarious. All the goblins call the people that are bigger than them Longshanks. And they chant, as they go into battle, they chant rhymes and stuff and laugh, and it's, yeah, I absolutely adore them. And the flavor of Galarian as a whole is really cool. They've kind of taken any and every setting you can think of, from Cold Norse, Viking queens riding worms, to vampires and stuff, to sci-fi things, to crusade, to jungle setting, to pirate setting. It all exists in their big ass map. So if we ever want to tell any type of story like that within this world, we can absolutely do that. I had somewhere I wanted to head next, and I forget where were we? We were in the 3-action economy system. I think I kind of covered everything I had wanted to cover there. Is there anything else I want to get into? The feats.
How about okay. I was gonna say about the difference between long rest and the two, because that was something we may want to know about before our first long rest.
There's no such thing as a long rest. There's no such thing as a short rest. There's only rest. You get to rest once per day for 8 hours, and you get your Constitution modifier times your level in hit points back, and that's it. That is your rest.
Dice, no
hit dice, none of that.
So John, if I'm at level
after resting,
if I'm at level 1 and my Constitution modifier is +2, that means I only get 2 hit points back per rest.
Yes, for 8 hours of sleep. Yes, Ryan's facial expression is great.
Healing matters.
Healing matters. Healing is important.
Merely a flesh wound is no longer a thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a flesh wound that festers for days.
Well, we can talk about wounds. Wounds come from dying. When you fall to 0 hit points on the battlefield, you become you acquire a condition called Dying 1. When you are given some hit points back, you come back from Dying 1. You remove Dying 1, but then you gain the condition Wounded 1. Should you fall again while you are Wounded 1, you become Dying 2.
Oh.
And so on and so forth. Come up from Dying 2, you become Wounded 2. If you fall while you're Wounded 2, you become Dying 3. And each of these conditions has things that you slowly deteriorate worse down a scale until you are Dying 4, which is dead. There is a feat, and this will lead into what I wanted to talk about next, is the feat system. Feats, there's a feat, and I'll talk about this feat. It's called Tend Wounds, or it's not Cure Wounds.
Treat.
What?
Treat Wounds.
Treat Wounds, that's it. You are able to use it once per day, I think, to remove a wound. and then heal some amount of hit points. So it's a good feat to have. Without it, the only other way to lose a wound is to rest. But do you lose a wound for resting 8 hours? 1 wound level? I forget.
I'm planning on dying, so I wasn't paying too much attention to those rules yet.
I should have looked that up. I plan on dying
Never
often.
tried that.
The fact
one
that I
shot
don't
I
know
plan on
says a
dying.
lot about the fact that I don't know says a lot about how confident I am in killing you.
Yeah.
Honestly, I should look that up. I need to look that up because
I do know attacking a creature that's down and dying raises the dying level by 1.
Wounded. You have been seriously injured during a fight. Anytime you lose the dying condition, you become wounded 1 if you didn't already have the condition, increasing. The wounding condition ends if someone successfully restores hit points to you with treat wounds, or if you are restored to full hit points and rest for 10 minutes.
oh,
So
okay. So if you can get magically healed to full and then rest for 10 minutes.
and it looks like it removes the wounding condition. It doesn't go but that like down by 1. It just takes away the wounded condition.
Oh, okay.
So if you're wounded 3 and you get that, then you would just not be wounded anymore?
That's what it sounds like.
Okay, then I was misunderstanding it.
And it's also
So
mentioned in chat that you can also go dying 2 from crits, like dying 3 if you're already wounded 1. Like, so if you get critted on when you're wounded, it bumps you
That
up an
makes
extra
sense.
dying level, I guess.
Ooh, that's so. Pathfinder 2e seems more deadly. Just saying off the top.
So it definitely feels more not as linear. Like listening to these rules and instructions for Pathfinder, it seems more open world. It seems more like World of Warcraft versus like the original Assassin's Creed, which is linear.
That would be a good way of putting it. There is the rule set is broader and way more open than 5e for sure.
All right. So I just popped up treat wounds that you were talking about, and it's a 10-minute process. So that's where it's not just like, oh, you're wounded 3 in the middle of combat. Oh, look, treat wounds and keep going. It's no, you got to make it through combat to.
Is there a limit to how many times you can use it per day, or is it just that 10-minute limit's the limit?
Once you use it on someone, they're immune to treat wounds for an hour.
That's what that was.
I don't see anything saying if you can use it multiple times a day or not. So
Okay.
There
Then
is
it's available.
something Dalvin in the chat says there's a feat that you can get called Battle Medicine, which lets you basically perform a very fast one-action treat wounds during combat. Treat wounds normally requires 10 minutes with limitations.
Cool.
So, but Battle Medicine sounds useful.
all right.
Well, I want to say big props to Dalvin for hopping in, and sounds like he's a 2e guru. Knowledgeable. At least, if nothing else, it kind of sounds guru-ish to me. I mean,
Either that or you found
Something
something
else
good and
left to do.
copy-pasted, which is what I would do.
I'm trying to give him more credit.
I know. Jokes, people, jokes.
Poke
Yeah,
fun
thanks
at
for
us,
that,
not the listeners or viewers. The feats. Feats in Pathfinder 2e are mandatory. It's part of the system. They aren't optional things every 4 levels. You have several feats. You have a set of ancestry feats, which is your race. Your ancestry is race. Race from 5e is ancestry. Which, by the way, people, it's your bloodline. It's where you came from. It's your race. I have issues with renaming things for.
Well, on the bright side, they made it simple
Anyway.
because it's ABC then.
Yes, I do like that, which is very, very clever. So you have ancestry feats that you'll take when you're at level 1. You have class feats that you'll take at level one, typically. And then there are skill feats that at every even level you can take skill feats. And then there's just a group of general feats available to everybody, which the aforementioned treat wounds is one of those general feats.
It's a lot of feats.
There are a lot of feats, and
Probably
they
need a
have
lot of
feat
shoes.
levels. So there's level 1 feats, level 2 feats, level 3 feats, level 4 feats. Some of them have prerequisites.
Would you say
This is why
that?
the core rulebook is 600 pages long.
Yes.
Hey, John.
Yes.
Would you say that at a higher level you would have a feet fetish?
I'm
Mhm.
I'm suddenly thinking we gotta dial back on how many times we're saying feats for fear that Twitch will shut us down.
Yeah, right. No, just don't show your feats on stream.
Just don't show. Wait. Oh hell. Here we go. I'm gonna get us banned from Twitch.
Oh, good.
Let me find it.
That's great.
Let me find it.
That's great. Do it.
Oh no.
Oh hell. Oh no. Yep. Here we go. I'm showing my feet on Twitch.
Jeez.
You went a long way for that joke.
Wow.
Yes, I did.
Wow.
Yes, I
Did go a long way for that joke.
Yes, I did.
So, talking prerequisites, I pulled up battle medicine that you had mentioned. The prerequisite is that you're trained in medicine to take this feat. But then it has requirements that you're holding your healer's tools or wearing them and have a free hand. So,
Maybe
Let's
delve in-
visit that for a second there, where you're talking about holding and free hands, because this is something that I was looking at when I was researching classes. As we were building up to the stream here, I was looking at the fighter, and I was looking at using a bastard sword, which is a sword that can be wielded in one hand or two hands. And the action economy matters in this. If I was holding that bastard sword with two hands, and I want to do a feat, the fighter feat that allows you to like hold the enemy down with one of your hands and cause them to be flat-footed, but you have to have a free hand. So if I wanted to release one hand off the sword, that's actually a free action. I can do that without using action economy. But after I've done that, if I want to return that hand to the sword so I could swing again with two hands and get the benefit of the extra damage, I have to use an action to interact with the sword. So going from two hands to one is free. Going from one hand to two costs me an action. So as we're going through the rules, and it says you have to have this in your hand or that to pull that out of your bag, it's an action. That uses your 3-turn action economy to do so.
I like that. That makes it very straightforward compared to what we were doing with our two nerds shows. Is, well, hey DM, can I do this? Yeah, I guess you kind of can. Now it's like a specific to pull something out of a bag. It's a feat or an action. To do
I think
this,
that's
it's an action.
kind of a common thing that I've heard with kind of looking at what it is that there's, and that's the rules are very much more specific on things you can do. Where I think in 5e it's more of a can I do it situational kind of thing where there's rules about it, but there's not necessarily a you can or can't. Where I think there's more of a there's a situation here, there's a feat here, there's a skill here, there's an action here, there's something that defines what you're doing in a lot more cases than in 5e.
Interesting point about the action economy that I just thought of when Rick was talking about the dropping and grabbing stuff. Moving and attacking and moving, you need to complete an action before you can take another action. So if you have 30 feet of movement and you want to move 15 feet and attack and then move 15 feet, that's all three of your actions. Because you have to complete the first action and be done with it. So moving that 15 feet, that action is over then. So you don't get to use the rest of that. That movement's lost at that point. So there's a bit more strategically moving amongst the battlefield there too.
It's a lot of strategery.
Wow. Yeah, he's one of us. He's one of us, folks. Like, we've known him a while.
High five, Rick.
Oh yeah, for those. I mean, Tom kind of introduced him earlier, but Rick was in my initial homebrew campaign with Ryan and Jeff. Rick was also on the Talking 1265 podcast with me and Tom. So
Accurate.
Been around.
I don't know that
technically,
we.
Rick and I went to elementary school together, just not the same grade.
Yep.
Same. Same. I was there too.
And
Norm
Tom,
too, yep.
Tom was there too.
So
Leave
we've
me
all
out,
known
Elementary
each
school
other.
bastards.
No longer around for. Well, the
Tom and I
building is
went to
there.
the same school all the way through, first through 12. And I've known Ryan since he was born.
Yeah, well,
Fact.
that happens. So, where was I? Feats, yes. I was actually going to ask if Delvin had clarity on this, because the feats, I believe when it says feat 1, that's a level 1 feat, and it's feat 2 is a level 2, and like feat 7, that will be at level 7. You have access to those.
That seems to fit with what I was looking at.
Yeah,
So that's right.
I believe that's right. I just started looking at them. I'm like, oh.
But you can, I believe, and I haven't gotten too much of this because I've only been looking at level 1 stuff, but I believe you can, when you get level up, you can retrain feats.
Yeah, Kaim
So,
and Delvin
I'm not sure.
say,
I'm guessing there's a limit to that.
yeah, Kaim and Delvin say correct, and a level 4 feat means that you need to be level 4 or more to take it.
Okay. So you just need to be at
So-
that level or higher in order to take it.
So you could theoretically take level 1 feats the entire time, but they're probably not as good as taking a level 7 feat at level 7.
I don't know. Catfall sounds pretty damn good. Prerequisite trained in acrobatics. Your cat-like aerial acrobatics allow you to cushion your fall. Treat falls as 10 feet or shorter. If you're an expert in acrobatics, you can treat falls as 25 feet or shorter. And if you're a master in acrobatics, you treat falls as 50 feet. Treat them as they're 50 feet or shorter.
Kaim says also some feats scale.
Ooh.
So maybe if you take it at a later level, it'll scale up to your current level, would be my guess.
Well, that's the
I
question
mean,
I had.
if you take it at
Scales
level
with your
1,
proficiency too.
as you
maybe.
grow in levels, it grows kind of with you. So
That is cool. I'm digging that. All right. Anyone have any other questions?
Yeah,
So
same.
here's something cool that I still have Battle Medicine up on my screen, and on the Archives of Nethys website, it has a little thing underneath the feat that says Battle Medicine leads to, and then it lists 3 additional feats that have Battle Medic as a prerequisite, or Battle Medicine. So it kind of, if you had a feat, you could go into that feat and look and see, oh, what's the next cool thing that I can do with this, having this feat as a prerequisite. So another plug for that website.
You want to
Kinda
put
fun.
that? What's that link, Genius? I'll put it in chat.
It's 2e.aeon period. It's just Archives of Nethys, Nethys. I think if you search Pathfinder 2e, it's going to be the first thing that comes
It'll
up.
pop up right away. It'll be one of the first websites to pop up.
And it takes a little bit to get used to the navigation at first, but if you're just doing searches for stuff, it's pretty simple.
Ryan, you said you had many questions. You wanna
Yeah,
have some?
so how do you organize your character? Obviously, the most complex thing about
Yep.
this game is the amazing profundity of options. How does one organize those options into a cohesive group? Like, am I just supposed to scribble some notes on a notebook and then at the end, hey guys, I have my character, it's here, and then hold it up to the screen?
There are quite a few different options. There is, I mean, if we wanted to go old school, they do have the old school, like you said, scribble notes. Kind of, this is not the way people do things nowadays, but this is still available. Not what we're going to do, because we live in a technological age. There are several services out there. The most official one, it seems, is the Demiplane, but it's not as advanced as far as people would like. The one that I found that I'm going to want us to use is Wanderer's Guide, which is wanderersguide.app. It has the GM tools to have a campaign and encounter builder. It has the character sheet. It is basically everything that D&D Beyond is for Pathfinder.
It does have a dice roll option too, which is kind of nice. I use that on D&D Beyond, and again, do your rolls right on the sheet.
And having made a couple of dummy characters just to see how Wanderer's Guide works, once you do it like once or twice, you kind of get how it works. And there's a little back and forth because, and this maybe you're going to talk about, is some of your stats affect how many skills and things you get. For example, your intelligence. In the higher your intelligence, the more skills and languages you get, which are on different tabs. So you kind of, as you're progressing forward, as your intelligence goes up, you might have to go back to like the language screen and select more or something. But there's a lot of the stuff looked like it was right in the Wanderer's Guide. There was a few things where it leaves you a blank box where you can fill in the text of your own stuff, but a lot of the basic stuff was in there, all filled in for you, and creates a character sheet similar to any of the other things. Or I suppose you could print it out to paper if you really wanted to.
Yeah, I'm looking at Goat right now, and it looks. I mean, it almost looks exactly like. If I'm looking at it, it's not far off from exactly what D&D Beyond has for layout.
I did
Like
find out.
I'm looking in areas for things, and I'm going, oh, all this stuff is.
Yeah, if you're making a level 1 character, the character sheets are not going to look very much different at all. Your AC and your a lot of your bonuses are going to look very similar, I think, at level 1.
You have an actions tab, you have a weapons tab, you have an inventory tab, details about your character, notes. All your skills are listed there.
Yep.
Your
and
skills are all listed.
And making a character, like the things you can choose are in a pull down menu, so you don't have to go through the entire list of everything. When you're level 1 and you get to pick, from your subclasses or your sub race or your ancestry, your heritage, you don't have to just pull from everything. It literally gives you the choices you can select from.
And something really kind of cool that I just noticed, Tom, in the GM tools, there's a Discord bot for fetching content from Wanderer's Guide via API and properly displaying it and formatting it within Discord.
Oh, perfect.
So if you wanted to poke around with that once we have the campaign set up.
I'll take a look at that, and I'll take a look and see if I'm kind of hoping there's a Pathfinder, like with the D&D Beyond, there was a module for Twitch to where you could hover over the screen and take a look at our character sheets live while watching. I don't know if there's anything like that for Pathfinder, but
yeah,
maybe I'll have to find some way to show that on screen.
It looks like there's an access code that we could add for a campaign that's in common.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah,
that's each other's information.
That's how John's looking at one of the ones I made.
Yeah, here, let me go to the campaigns. Yeah, Ryan, I can. It's the code itself is a little. Is there a way I can send this to you quickly?
It was in the messenger, but that was probably a few days ago now.
One of the nice things on that character sheet as well, Jeff, you had said about going back and forth with tabs when you're creating your character. If you forget to take a language or something like that, when you get to your actual character sheet, there'll be a little warning icon up in the top saying you have an unselected language available to you, and it tells you, go back and fill that in. So you do get a little warning if you miss something during character creation.
Well, you know what I can do? I can do it this way. That is actually very nice. And it's kind of like, it's like the little red or blue exclamation points in D&D Beyond. Here we go, Wanderer's Guide.
Yeah, but I don't think D&D Beyond actually has, like, if you make it all the way to the final view your character sheet, it doesn't tell you that you're forgetting something. Oh. You have to go through all the tabs to see those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I did, because I kept missing the extra languages.
I did.
I was making them. I was like, what did I do wrong?
Where did that language come from? I don't.
Bum bum ba-dum.
Oh, come on. I'm trying to get you this code real quick, Ryan.
I mean, no big deal.
No, it's a big deal. This is what we're doing, dude.
With the campaign, it looked like, and I didn't really get into it too much, but that the DM can see all of the character sheets, maybe, but I don't know if the players can see each other's character sheets.
Oh
You
yeah, I don't
first
know.
set
If,
up when on the first page of character creation, there is a toggle for making your character sheet public. That might be,
maybe
if
that's
you turn
it.
that on.
Okay.
yeah.
There's also toggles for which rule books you're using. So I know
Yeah.
Cooped earlier on, you asked about races and things like that. There's so many of them. If you turn the toggle on so just the core rule book is on, you'll only see the races that are in the core rule book and only be able to select those.
And for
And
this
are we
first,
looking
this
at utilizing the advanced whatever rule book or
Nice.
just the core rule book?
I was going to say for this first, this one shot, this learning, let's just do the core rules. That's the only rule book I turned on, so I think that would be the best, just to learn the game.
Is Alchemist Rick core?
Yep.
It is?
Alchemist
Okay.
core class.
Yeah.
Like I was getting into, I started to mention, and then I drifted off into something else. Go figure. That's me.
Shocking.
Yeah. Between D&D and Pathfinder, your 12 core classes. Take away the Warlock and add the Alchemist, and then change the Paladin's name to Champion, and that's those are the 12 classes. There are 6 races. You have humans, gnomes, halflings, dwarves, elves, and goblins. Those are your 6 ancestries.
From what I'm taking from those ancestries, the world of Pathfinder is a very short world.
They like
There are
the
only
short.
there are only 2 classes or 2 races in there that are of normal height. Not to, to discourage people who are vertically challenged.
That would make you think that maybe that's not normal height in Pathfinder, and normal height is short and they're tall.
That could be.
That's why they're called Longshanks.
Due to a lot of
you are-
aging.
Yep. We're the Longshanks.
If you are looking for a half elf or a half orc, they are heritages of the human ancestry.
Yeah, that threw me for a loop
That's
when I was
where
trying
they-
to create, because I was looking for the half elf at first. I'm like, okay, so there's elf, there's human, there's goblin, there's where the fuck? Why is there? Where did they? And then once you click in it, 'cause I think John told me that once you click in it, that's where it is. I was like, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's some shit. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
You got, yeah. They're all humanoid, so. With all that being said, I know Jeff and Rick have been extensively chatting about what they're going to do with their characters for this open introductory campaign, which has me very excited because like I said, I love Pathfinder goblins, so. And that kind of spills the beans a bit, but would one of the two of you like to take the ball and mention your character concept to begin with?
Oh, genius.
Yeah, so I was looking, I've played some barbarians before, and it's probably one of my top 2 or 3 classes to play, just because, you pretty much know what you're going to do most of the time, and I figured that'd be a safe one to start off a new system here with. So, and looking at the goblin, I thought, we'll be, goblins are small typically, so I figured, like, what if this goblin was like a jacked goblin, everything pumped into strength and con, and kind of just you're a tall, beefy goblin that really doesn't have much for intelligence. And so I kind of was going down that path, and still trying to figure out exactly what he wants to do, but I have some pretty good ideas. And then Rick said he had an idea, and I thought, hey, that fits kind of good with mine.
Yeah, I just concept of playing a goblin who's just on edge about everything, like hopped up on caffeine all the time, type edgy, a little bit paranoid. Probably people are after him, and walking around with a sack of bombs just sounded like fun. So I'm definitely looking at playing a artificer bomber here, or alchemist artificer. I'm going to my 3-5e again. Alchemist bomber, omelet.
So you basically made Junkrat and Pathfinder.
Yes. Yep. Well, then, Jeff, when you said Raistlin and Cameron, I went, okay, sure. But now that like that reference came back to me now, and I'm going, oh yeah, holy hell, yes. This is old Dragonlance reference. But Raceland and Karen, except they're goblins.
Yeah. Yeah. My my motivation is I'm hanging out with Rick's character because he makes things blow up and they're shiny and loud, and I like shiny and loud. And he's probably using me as kind of a bodyguard or something, you know.
See
so
you
he
as
can-
useful.
He's
Yeah.
using you for the +2 circumstance bonus of putting you between him and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That
And then
brings
somebody
me
made
to
somebody made the comment of the twins. Was it Twins? The movie?
oh,
Schwarzenegger and DeVito.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of the visual we're going for with that. So
right.
Oh, fun. Yeah, that brings me to another question that I have generally is how do you quote unquote roll for statistics, or do you
You don't
how do you
roll.
organize your character sheet in that way?
You don't actually roll for statistics. The first step is you set all your stats at 10. And then as you
go
when
through
you
your
choose-
ABCs.
Yep, you go through your ABCs, your ancestry, your background, and then your class. And your ancestry will give you will have a bonus to certain things, and you will have flaws to some things. And a flaw is a -2, and a bonus is a +2. Or whatever it states.
Yeah, it's +2, plus or -2.
And some of those will be free choices. So if we go to, I'll pull up something here. So if we go, we're talking goblins. So if we look at the ancestry, goblin ancestry, gnome, where's the goblins? So goblin ancestry, their hit points. That's another thing. Your hit points automatically start. You get hit points based on whatever your ancestry was. So hit points start at 6. They get ability boosts in dexterity, charisma, and a free one, which means they can choose anywhere to add it. They have an ability flaw in wisdom, so you get a -2 in wisdom. Then you get languages, common, goblin, and additional languages equal to your intelligence modifier. Typically you wait until the end. And then they have the traits goblin and humanoid and have dark vision. So you get +2 dexterity, +2 charisma, and then a +2 of your choice wherever you want, and then a -2 in your wisdom. So that comes from being the goblin. So then you have your classes. So Rick is going alchemist, and alchemists.
You skip B, right?
Oh
Or did I
yeah,
skip that?
I did background. Where's the backgrounds? Ooh,
So,
background.
like for example, background that I decided to choose was barkeep, I think.
Barkeep. You have 5
Sure.
specialties: hefting barrels, drinking, polishing steins, drinking, and drinking.
Yeah.
You worked in a bar where you learned how to hold your liquor and rowdily socialize. Choose 2 ability boosts. So you get to choose 2 more ability boosts. One must be to Constitution or Charisma, and the other one is free.
Got it.
You're trained in diplomacy skill and the alcohol lore skill, and you gain the hobnobber skill feat from your background, from being a barkeep.
How do you determine what is like your DC skill, for example, like in 5e? So for example, if I pick, well, I don't know, a cleric, how would I know what my skills are based on?
As far as what
To-
It's your key
Generally,
skill.
your class gives you that automatically. Some of them you get to choose, but your class typically will give you that.
here,
To answer your
let's go
question,
with-
Ryan, it doesn't sound like your athletics is based on dexterity. Like I don't think it says that directly in when you're creating your character, because I created one. Like, I don't think you're gonna have to worry about what thing you're rolling for is dexterity or strength. It's just gonna be you're gonna be trained in it, or you're gonna be an expert in it. It's just you're gonna have that in front of you. So it's not gonna matter whether it's a strength check or if it's a this check, because it's gonna be a straight up lore check. It's gonna be a straight up athletics check, which you know what I mean. Does that make sense?
So if you look at the cleric specifically, is what you asked for. The key ability is wisdom. At first level, your class gives you an ability boost to wisdom. So and some of them you get to choose between, like I think a fighter might choose between dex and strength, and maybe rogue does something like that too. But most of them it's set to 1. And then I'm assuming for the spell casting classes, that's the one that sets your like spell casting DC, the equivalent to.
Very similar in that regards to 5e, and actually the ties to stats are almost the same. I think wizards are intelligence, sorcerers are charisma, clerics are wisdom. They're pretty much mirror the 5e counterparts.
Okay.
I guess I was wrong.
Helpful.
One difference
Stats.
One difference between the two games that I came across looking at this is saving throws. There's 3 style saving throws in Pathfinder 2e as opposed to the 6 that we only ever actually used like 3 of them. It's 5e. Sometimes they got into maybe using a 4th one. But you have a fortitude save, a reflex save, and a will save.
Slave?
Basically
Willing
a
slave?
yeah, basically a constitution save, a dexterity save, and a wisdom save. Remember when we first started playing, Ryan, I kept saying will save instead of wisdom save?
Yeah.
This is why.
While you're on that topic, perception, in 5e is a normal skill. In Pathfinder, it's kind of a separate thing.
Perception's a big deal because when you roll initiative, a lot of times you use your perception skill.
Oh, let's talk about initiative before we close up shop here, because that seems like something we'll need.
No, we'll get into that as we're learning the game.
Okay.
I just wanted to focus on a little bit more character concept. Do you have a character concept down that you're doing for a character, what you were thinking?
Not necessarily. I'll figure that out over the next week, though.
Yeah, you have an idea, or you kind of know where we kind of have half the group set.
Yep.
Sounds like Ryan's leaning cleric because it's something familiar.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have a human cleric. I'm really impressed with the functionality of a cleric world. I want to be a spellcaster, and in my research, it seems like, and based on your guys' communication today, healing is really critical.
We thank you.
I don't want to miss out on that opportunity. So, I will be a heal-focused cleric with a lot of uniqueness, and I'll get into that as we go into character building.
Oh, Ryan, I love you, my fellow cleric taking the healer.
All right, so we have a cleric, we have a barbarian, and we have an artificer.
You know what that lines up for you to be, Tom?
Going 5e again.
Rogue. Rogue. Or ranger.
Yeah.
Yeah, or if you wanted to test your spellcasting abilities and go full on wizard or sorcerer or something, and kind of go the.
I'm
kind
thinking
of a toolbox as an alchemist, so you could go for a full arcane caster. And
with a healer, meat shield, and kind of a ranged. You're kind of anywhere if you want.
I'm free. Yeah, so I think in our main line, after our introductory story, I think I'll be going wizard in that direction. I think, unless something comes up, but so yeah, maybe I'll try. I'll see how the rogue plays here. Maybe I'll try, because I haven't been a ranger before. I mean, there's a lot of things I haven't been, but
I've been there. I'm writing down classes so I can read them.
So, do you want to give us just a brief, again, maybe this is for everybody, a brief intro of not what our characters are, but basically what you intend this one shot to be like, as far as we're in a certain location, we have a certain place we're from. We're all, like with the main campaign you were talking about, transplanting characters from the TBD world into that. But can you give us a little like what we kind of are going to expect as far as when we're setting up our little backstories and stuff, kind of where we're from and what we're doing, so we not to get into the adventure into our individual characters, but just kind of a general sense of things.
Yeah. Well, the beginning adventure is going to be the adventure out of the beginner's box, which I found as I was reading it really actually teaches the game pretty dang well. So it's Menace under Otari. Otari is a city on the island that also it's right in the middle of the map of Galarian. Brain farted on the name of the world. That houses Absalom, which is the capital of Galarian, the biggest biggie city in all the world. This is a small offshoot in it on the other side of the island. This whole adventure is basically going to take place. One of the locals is having an issue with I forget specifically what it is. Let's just say there's a menace.
It's got a pest problem.
There's a nuisance. There's a pest problem. And lo and behold, oh my goodness, Tropy, it leads to a underground tunnel system below the city.
Cool. So we're looking urban big city.
This is small village.
Small village. Okay.
Small village. And kind of my idea behind all this is going to be to introduce you guys to this little village. And that this will kind of be the in point from like when we transfer, because the whole idea we're staying with folks is we're keeping TBD. They're planar hopping, baby. And they're gonna import into Otari. And there's a very similar organization within the world of Galarian and Pathfinder to what TBD is. And there may be either some joining of forces or butting of heads, as TBD eventually will set up in Otari. And who knows, maybe one day possibly expand into Absalom.
So basically what you're telling me is you're Wizard of Ozzing this shit.
A little bit. There may be reasons that that TBD's looking to get out of town.
Probably has nothing to do with any of the bullshit we've pulled over the last 3 years.
And the kind of neat thing about this is, and Rekka, and tying into our bigger storyline is you've played in Galarian before, so some parts of Galarian will be familiar to you. You will be the most familiar with Galarian out of the four of you. So Jeff kind of put it on the table that maybe when they bring people in from TBD, you'll be the person they contact.
The local guide.
The local guy. Maybe you're the one, food for thought, maybe you're the one that owns the establishment that they will buy from you or rent from you or take over from you. Maybe you're like broke as a joke. I don't know. You can play that how you want it, but somehow you're from Otari, you're from Galarian, and they will come through that however they get there. And we'll get into that whole story business eventually. We can have some discussion on how if you want to do that or how you want to step into that, depending on how you want your. I mean, I can make it work if you don't want to be the person that owned anything or is giving anything, and you just maybe you're a trusted friend of that person.
Or maybe you're from the Sword Coast also, and you as a player get to help John with the lore.
Yeah, maybe you were the emissary from Omen saying, "Hey, this is my representative, making sure this shit goes right." And of course, shit's gonna go left because you're playing hopping.
Of course.
For that campaign, I've narrowed it down to 2 characters, and they're both rogues. So I'll talk to John about which one makes more sense.
Kind of
And-
leaning fighter for that. Don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. And so Ryan, if you want to bring anyone with any of your characters you played, all of them that you've played, just let me know for flavor-wise who's all coming along, because it's going to be an expedition party. And it could be up to like 30, 40 people plane hopping here to set up this new establishment. So we'll peruse our backlist of characters we've played and linked together in stories. And does Crixus and Marta does Marta want to come along? Because Marta could absolutely come along. I mean,
Leave-
This wouldn't go without Marta. They're
Yep.
joined at the hip at this point.
Crixus and Marta and a Chwinga will bring a Chwinga into Galarian.
I think you said Crixus was maybe looking for a dragon's egg, right? Maybe there's a dragon's egg in Galarian.
All right, let's do that. Let's run it.
I hate to break it to you, John, but Aeronon's not going to make this trip.
I figured that.
Maybe
What?
parts of him. We'll pour one out for Aaronon. That
literally,
was a
and,
show title.
literally and figuratively.
Rick, something to consider. I mean, Varus is living lives over and over and over and over again. It's possible. Just a thought.
Reincarnation of my 5e character.
Yes. If you wanted to. Fully connect every one of my fucking games together.
All right.
And Ryan, if you wanted to practice as a cleric and then continue as another cleric,
Or continue as the same cleric.
or the
Like
same
it-
cleric.
I'll tell you right now, I'm excited about the character, and I don't intend to one-shot the character. So
Okay.
Awesome.
Well,
Okay.
if you ask nicely, sometimes the DM lets you be one level higher than the rest of the players.
That's another interesting thing too. You have
See what happens.
a quick little thing about earning experience. You go to 1,000 points, and once you have 1,000 points of experience, you level up, and then your experience total goes to 0. It's a really interesting experience system that I might actually track experience. I don't know if I'm gonna get that crazy, but it's possible.
Cool. Well, I think it's about that time, John. What do you think?
It is. It is. You want to take us out? You took us in. I was fully prepared to take us in, but
I know,
kept getting up and walking away.
I laughed. I wanted to see how long it would take you to figure out that we had started the show. So,
Didn't take me.
we are Two Nerds One Quest. We are here every Sunday, well, most Sunday mornings, 8:30 a.m. Central Time at twitch.tv/TomMNorm, TOMMNORM. Join us on our Discord, bit.ly/OurFunDiscord. Have some discussions with us. We talk about stuff other than D&D, Pathfinder, video games. I do web development stuff, so you can always ask me questions there. Writing, music, you name it. Come join in the fun, ask us questions, hang out. We'd love to see you there. I put the link in chat already for that. Support the show. Let other people know about it. If you are enjoying this experience, tell others, tweet about it, Facebook about it, Bing about it. I don't know. Is Bing still a thing? I don't know. Google Plus about it. Let other people know that you are enjoying the show. Get the podcast for patrons. Patreon.com/2nerds1quest. That comes out on Sundays. The free podcast for all to enjoy that does not have the pre and post show content comes out Wednesday mornings. So be sure to get that. We don't want you to miss an episode because, I mean, it's not like you can't figure it out and, rewatch the VOD. VODs, on the other hand, go to YouTube after they disappear from Twitch. So usually within a week, the videos go over to YouTube. Videos stay on Twitch for about a month. So there's multiple ways to enjoy this show. With that being
But if you
said,
join us live, you get to chat with us, and that's the fun part.
And
accurate
submit
statement.
titles.
And put in. Oh yeah, and if you
And vote
are
for
live,
titles.
you get to vote for show titles. So I'm gonna put that link in chat, so that people that are in chat right now can go and vote on our show titles. And with that being said, for me, for JC, for Genius, for Cooch, and for the newly appointed Rick, I don't know. We'll figure that out. We'll catch you next week.
Gotta give him some
Get
nicknames.
'em.
Rickroll him.
Oh, jeez. That's hitting the post.
Hard. But I still love it because the math is hard.
We're back up.
What?
All right, if you're in chat, go vote on show titles. I'm going to pull that up now. I will read out titles. If you're listening, tommnorm.showbot.tv. Rick, if you want to go there, feel
On
free.
Twitch.
No, it's a website.
Oh,
tommnorm.showbot.tv.
Yep, that's where
So
all
just
of,
open a new tab,
Yeah.
and you'll see a big list of all our things. You can vote for as many as you like. I typically will vote for 3. Rick's gonna help us break ties
Yep, yeah, you just
Or
click
make ties.
on the title.
or make ties.
All right, so we have I have a shield. Why do I keep getting hit in the balls? Pathfinder is math. Math is hard. WotC. Simplify, maximize, educate. The rule of 10. Pathfinder made by statisticians. Creepy stare feet. We are the flavor text. Oh shit, shit's moving. Hobnobber skills on. Oh yeah. Dying 4 is dead.
Yep.
Don't show your feats on stream. Don't share feats. Height shaming. The first rule of Pathfinder is you don't talk about rolling for stats. Talking goblins. And an urban big city village.
Let's see. I can give that one a vote.
Yep.
Um,
So if you're in chat, go vote. Go vote, go vote, go vote.
What's the other one that I chuckled at?
Oh, and also I was going to do this at the end of the show.
What did you do? Oh. Level up sound.
Hmm.
It's called Victory in Sirenscape.
That's
All right. Well, I'm looking and I haven't voted yet, so I'm thinking I gotta vote to make it a tie, right? I mean, that feels right. So I'm gonna do that one.
what Jeff typically does.
I probably would have voted for it anyway, but
That I have a shield. Why do I keep getting hit in the balls? Made me chuckle good. That is such a funny picture in my head. Like Crixus holding a shield up, but way too high.
Yeah.
Just getting nailed in the nuts by like a goblin or something small.
It's a real problem.
he gets hit in the face, so someone yells out, "Raise your shield," and he just holds it up over his face and just still gets pummeled.
A real concern.
I have a list of classes to read about. It says barbarian. Well, it doesn't say barbarian. It says Barbian, alchemist, cleric, and Tom.
Cleric and Tom.
That seems
I
accurate.
wanna.
That
I
all
want to
seems
read your
accurate.
classes out.
So who's the Barbian?
So
Or Barbian. Yeah.
Is
Jeff's
that,
the Barbian.
So, is that a,
So-
a
so-
tall plastic like character with giant boobs and blonde hair?
Yep.
That likes to rage.
Is that He-Man?
Yeah. Does He-Man have giant boobs?
kinda.
They're bigger than mine.
So main quest then, it sounded like we're pretty good on our classes with a rogue, a fighter, a cleric, and a wizard.
Oh yeah, I should
That's actually a pretty good
rogue.
party.
A rogue, a
Fighter.
fighter, a wizard, and a cleric walk into a bar. Bar immediately burns down.
Jesus.
Oh, wait.
Is that actually set? Is that what you guys were thinking of doing?
The fighter says, I ordered a fireball, not cast fireball.
Ew.
So
Wizard shrugs and walks out.
I'm set on rogue for sure.
okay, Jeff was the rogue. Because long term, that's the stuff I'm gonna want to know. Are you kind of set on fighter for the long campaign, Rick? Kind of?
Fighter or barbarian. I'll be some sort of meat shield.
Really?
I'm kind of between the two of them. I'm leaning more towards fighter right now.
Okay. And then Ryan, Tom's locked into wizard. He's got that idea.
Yeah,
Ryan,
I would say I'm 90% wizard.
And Ryan, I love you as a cleric, and I completely get not wanting to switch classes in your situation.
Yeah, I mean, by the time I go through creating the lore of the character in my brain, I'm just like, I'm not really interested in swapping it out. So
yeah, and maybe I could kill some of the at the end of the one shot, and have the cleric get out.
Oh, so we're all just fodder now, huh? For Ryan's character building.
Fodder for lore.
Oh, maybe that'll be my character.
Suddenly my character looks across the field. No.
He's gonna have a giant complex.
Get you.
John, just for if I do switch characters, it will be for another caster. I just don't know if I want to stay with wizard or sorcerer or.
Okay.
But I'm thinking wizard is probably what I want though.
Yeah, we're just read the magic section of the book because magic's weird.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do that.
Spellcasting is different. It's very different.
That's I wasn't a spellcaster necessarily in any of the 5e stuff. So for me, I did cast spells, but it's not
you
like
had paladin, right? Some levels of paladin, but
yeah.
I mean, the spells themselves aren't horribly different. And it takes 2 actions or 1 action to cast a spell, and that's pretty obvious within the Wayfinder's Guide what it takes. It's the prepping. It's the daily prep of your spells and what you have available to you that is very different between the 2 systems.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys give me your character names, like if you look on stream, if you go back and look, I have to find a better way to display our names so that they're more visible. But I'm overlaying our videos with our names, and I'll put our character names there too. Instead of taking up a lot of real estate like I did in our previous 3 years with extra frames and all that, I'm trying to save some room, and so that's if you see something, if you go back and watch and you see something that you want me to tweak or add or something, let me know.
You ready?
I think this is a good setup. I think we have a good visible stream. I think
is that our underground map for our adventure?
First level, yeah.
I'm going to watch the playback and blow that up.
Just going to have a handwritten sketch of what John just showed.
I mean, technically, it's the beginner's adventure. It's probably pretty easy to find. So
Like
I'm pretty sure it's in that giant list of zip files you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you able to get Rick into that list?
Oh, I probably need to share that folder with him, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, we got a bunch of
text to me.
We got a bunch of PDFs of stuff that you can.
So did we end up with a winner for show titles yet? Or
no, we got
a nice big tie.
Pathfinder is math, and math is hard.
So
and then don't show your on stream.
Because I am who I am, I'm gonna do don't show your feats on stream because it's my title, and if I have to break it, I'm sorry, Elquin. I like your title, but
it's just a steadfast rule. If Tom needs to break a title and one of his titles is in there, he votes for it.
Not necessarily, but the don't show your feats on stream has probably been in multiple episodes over the last 3 years.
There's some history with that in this show.
John's foot fetish, and
I nearly got us banned by putting my foot up on the table at one point.
Yeah. Yeah, all of that is accurate.
I think that went very well having the 5th person here. We did minimal. There was only like once or twice where I went, we're kind of getting on top of each other, and that's just something we'll have to be cognizant of in those moments where we're all laughing. If we all try and talk, it's gonna get jumbly.
Yes, that is very accurate.
And that's when it happened. Honestly, is when we laughed about something and we were all saying something. So it's not the worst moment for that to be happening. It's actually probably the best moment for that to be happening. Because it's not affecting the game at all.
All right.
But I think that went very well. This group meshes very well. Rick, you slide right in like you've been here the entire time. So
That's what your mom said.
I've adventured with you, with Kukta and Jeff, but haven't adventured with Norm before, so that'll be new.
yeah, but you've done enough bullshitting with Norm that this.
I've done enough bullshitting with Norm, yeah.
That scene isn't. It's sewn together already. So.
Yeah, all accurate.
I do like the jams rolling behind us, Norm, I must say.
Well, it's jams for today. Just wait till we get into an actual adventure, and then
Yeah,
it's not
so
jams.
I like to
Creepy
do
cavern music.
I like to do music when we're just chatting pre-stream, post-stream, and then once we get into the episode, I do have let's see here, hold on.
A couple of settings. There's tavern.
Ambiance.
There's
I have
tavern ambiance.
I use Sirenscape.
combat.
So oftentimes I'll do Dungeon Depths and I'll play this.
Yeah. Severe PTSD from that music.
Yeah, that just makes
Jeff,
me
you
think
have
of the horror.
flashbacks?
I'm a rabbit with one hand
And holes in your ears?
and holes in my ears, carrying around a naked woman.
Let's see here. This is kind of a cool one for...
Yeah, all the episodes are out there, Rick. So if you ever wanted to go back and check them out, I've got them cataloged somewhere, so we can find the specific episodes if you need to. But yeah, John's Halloween thriller from a couple years ago.
That was one where I just kind of wanted to. They had nothing when they began, and they began in chains. Or
We were naked.
Yeah.
We were naked and
Wooden
afraid.
chains.
in a dungeon, and the first thing they saw was the pit and the pendulum scenario in front of them.
All right. It doesn't look like there's anybody for us to raid right now. Dunaway usually tends to come on around this time, so I've been kind of stalling to see if he's going to pop on, but he is not. Like last week, within 3 minutes of us going offline, I think he popped on. But all right, that's it. I'm gonna shut the stream down, and I gotta get going.
All right, bye,
go.
chat.
Okay,
See you next
Thank you.
week.
Thanks for all
Alright,
the new people
dudes.
popping in.
Thanks,
It looked
we'll
like they're
see ya.
out already, but
Yeah, I was gonna say there was some new
People
new